The UFC Heavyweight Division is in a terrible state right now, and this isn't new. It's been a problem for years at this point. Most people aren't excited for heavyweight fights unless they're top 5 fighters, because the rest of the division is filled with unfit, fat, lazy fighters to the point where we call it slop now. And sometimes you'll have a diamond in the rough with a Curtis Blades versus Josh Hokett fight, but that's few and far between. I mean, come on, we had Tai Tuivasa versus Thaleson Teixeira on a pay-per-view main card, and look at this shit. They don't even have the energy to get up and go to their corners and sit on a stool. So they were treated sitting next to each other on the floor of the octagon. And those guys are top 15 ranked fighters on a pay-per-view main card. Like, are we serious? What are we doing here? And this past weekend with UFC 327, there was also a lot of talk going around about the light heavyweight division also being shallow, especially since Alex Pereira is moving up. I mean, guys, Reyes versus Walker, the battle of nothing but light leg kicks, was a fight between two top 15 guys, again, ranked guys, again on a pay-per-view main card. What are we doing here? And following his victory and winning the light heavyweight title, Carlos Ulberg is injured with a torn ACL and could be out for a year. I'm Ben the Juggernaut Rogers, and this is how to fix the UFC heavyweight problem. So, here's the problem. Both the light heavyweight and heavyweight divisions are shallow and lacking in decent talent and prospects. So, what's the solution? Well, we'll just combine them into one division. Now, I hear you going crazy, let me land. This would fix the main problems of a shallow, untalented fighter pool and give us one genuinely talented, deep pool of fighters all the way through the top 15. And whilst we're at it, we can also bring down the upper weight limit to 250 pounds rather than 265, which would force a lot of fighters to actually cut weight in their camps, which would make them fitter for the fights and ultimately help to increase the talent pool at heavyweight and make for a more entertaining product for the fans. So, what would this new heavyweight 200 to 250 pound division look like? Well, as the champion, it's still going to be Tom Aspinall. This new division is still called heavyweight, and theoretically the heavyweight champion would beat the lighter champions, so we're going to keep Tom as the champ. And since we're using the current heavyweight title picture as the base for this new division, we're still going to have Alex Pereira versus Cyril Gane for the interim championship, with the winner unifying the belts against Tom later this year. This feels like a good time to mention, for this concept, we're going off the basis that it'd be announced within the next week. So any fights that are already announced, we're going to keep on the schedule and we're not cancelling any of those fights. Hence why the interim championship fight is still going ahead. But then, what about Carlos Ulberg, who just won the light heavyweight title? I mean, sorry Carlos, but your division is basically dissolved, and Carlos Ulberg would not have any sort of interim or additional title or anything like that. However, he would be placed into an immediate number 1 ranking, and he would get the very next title shot when he has recovered from his injury. Speaking of rankings, let's just dive right into the new rankings of the heavyweight division. So again, as champ we have Tom Aspinall, and either Alex Pereira or Cyril Gane as the interim champion, and of course Carlos Ulberg ranked at number 1. At number 2 we're going to have the loser of the interim title fight, so again either Alex Pereira or Cyril Gane, and at number 3 we have the current number 1 light heavyweight Magomed Ankalaev, with Yuri Prochazka at number 4. At number 5 is Alexander Volkov, number 6 is Sergey Pavlovich, number 7 is Waldo Cortez Acosta, and number 8 is Jan Blachowicz. Then rounding out the top 10, we have Khalil Roundtree Jr. at number 9, and Josh Hokett at number 10. After that we have Jamahal Hill at number 11, and at number 12 we have Paulo Costa, At number 13 we have Sergey Spivak, and at number 14 we have Curtis Blades, and finishing the top 15 we have Azamat Murzakanov. Now, comparing this to the current top 15 of both divisions, this new unified top 15 is full of genuine competitors, all with great skills, high ceilings, and anyone in this top 15 could believably pull off a run for the title, which I think is a very important concept to have. I mean, quite literally, at number 15, the very bottom of the rankings, is Azamat Murzakanov, who, yes, he was just defeated by Paulo Costa, but before that, he was undefeated and ranked number 6 at light heavyweight, and he was probably maybe one fight away from a title shot. I mean, he was and probably still is considered a hot prospect, and he is at the very bottom of the rankings. And that should show you how deep this new top 15 really is, or really would be. But now we've covered rankings, let's run through a quick schedule for the top 15 if this division were to merge and come into effect. At UFC 328, we have number 5 Alexander Volkov versus number 7 Waldo Cortez Acosta, as well as number 8 Jan Blachowicz versus unranked Bogdan Guskov.
Okay, Editor Ben here. Turns out that Blachowicz is out of the fight, and there we go. Iwo is stepping in to fight Bogdan Guskov. Two unranked heavyweights, so don't really need to mention it, but felt like I needed to because I would have been lying if I didn't.
At UFC Fight Night Yudong vs Figueiredo, we have number 6 Pavlovich versus an unranked Talison Teixeira. Then at UFC Freedom 250, better known as the White House card, we have unranked Alex Pereira versus current number 1 Cyril Gane for the interim heavyweight championship, where the loser will rank at number 2. Also on this card we have number 10 Josh Hokett versus an unranked Derek Lewis, but that's kind of it for what we have announced so far, so we've got a lot to play with. First up, we're going to have number 3 Magomed Ankalaev return around July, as well as the debut of Robert Whittaker at light heavyweight, or rather the new unified heavyweight division, also around July. Supposedly they're not fighting each other, so let's find them some new opponents. Robert Whittaker was ranked number 10 at middleweight, so let's try to reflect a similar sort of ranking at heavyweight. So we have number 11 Jamahal Hill versus unranked Robert Whittaker. Both these guys are looking a little chinny recently, and they're both strikers, so this should make for a good, entertaining fight and a fair fight for Whittaker's heavyweight debut. And then we have number 3 Ankalaev versus number 9 Khalil Roundtree Jr. Now let me just say, I would prefer to make Ankalaev versus Yuri Prohaska. However, Ankalaev spoke about his July return before Yuri versus Carlos Ulberg happened, so it's definitely not going to be Yuri. And it will be someone in the current light heavyweight division. And who better than Roundtree, who most recently had a back and forth war with Yuri, and he was winning that fight before he got knocked out. This is what I think they're gonna do, and I think it should be a good fight if Roundtree is able to stuff takedowns from Ankalaev. Now, let's get into what's next, without any rumours, purely just based off my ideas of this new division. First, also around July, we have number 13 Sergey Spivak would fight to stay inside the top 15 against an unranked opponent, maybe a Rizvan Kuniev or a Bogdan Guskov, someone who is a former top 15 contender of the old divisions. Now, between this and other ranked fights, we have a lot of unranked fights going on in prelims and fight nights, but the next ranked fight would be the winner of Volkov versus Cortez Acosta facing Yuri Prohaska, where the winner would make their claim at the title. Around the same time, we will also have Iwo Baraniewski making his claim to the top 15 against ranked 12 Paulo Costa. Now, all the fights after this would deal with winners of current fights, so we can't really get into it too much. But what we can do is get an overall overarching idea for the title picture. Tom Aspinall is rumoured to be aiming for a September return, so this is where we would have the unification fight between Tom Aspinall and the winner of Pereira vs Gane. The winner of this fight would then face the winner of the Ankalaev vs Roundtree Jr. fight, with the next title contender being the winner of Yuri versus either Volkov or Cortez Acosta. Then the loser of the interim title matchup would try for the title again. Still going to be in top 5, number 2 or number 3 at this point. And finally, in about 15 months from now, Carlos Ulberg would return from his injury and go into an immediate title shot. But one more thing, if the UFC wanted to keep 8 champions, 8 weight divisions as it currently is, but they still wanted to merge the light heavyweight and heavyweight division, you could, in theory, split the current welterweight division into 2 separate weight classes, one set at 165 pounds and one set at 170 pounds, which would keep the structure between weight classes more uniform until you get to the heavyweight division. And Islam Makhachev would choose which weight class he wanted to stay champion of, which I think in this scenario would likely be the smaller division at 165, just because he's comfortable being smaller. But also, that's where the super fight against Ilia Topuria would be easier to make. Just like Topuria, you would have bigger 155ers move up to 165, as well as smaller 185ers, current middleweights, move down a weight class to 175, ultimately putting in weight classes which would suit them better and make the whole weight cutting problem a little easier on those fighters. We wouldn't even really necessarily have to worry about shallow fighter pools with those. I mean, yeah, they'd be shallower, but not necessarily shallow, as these divisions are already stacked as it is, especially with the people moving up and down, filling it out. I think it'd make for 2 really good competitive weight divisions. But that's all from me today. What do you guys think about my proposed idea to unify the light heavyweight and heavyweight divisions? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and if you've enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more MMA and boxing content, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. I've been Ben the Juggernaut Rogers, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.